Good afternoon. It is the afternoon, but it looks like the night time here. It's so dark now. Hello, everyone. It's 4:30. It's Yessave team coaching. Hello. And we're kind of progressing forward with the things that are essential on when we get going and how we do this business. And this is all about, oh my gosh, I think this is probably the word that people hate the most: calling, making calls. In fact, there is no business without this. All right. There is no UW business unless we do this. So I'm going to start, first of all, right at sort of the beginning of somebody that's joining. I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me while I do so. One I prepared earlier, folks. You'll recognise the dashboard, what we call the front page of our partner portal. All of us have got much the same. If you go over to the learning portal, and if you click the A to Z, and then you want G for getting appointments, that's the one you click on. And in there, if I move everyone around, the most important one is making calls. Now, we all know about building the list and all of that, but what I want to do is this is all about calls. So we're going to keep it to this, okay? It says tips to get over your fear of the phone, structure your time to be effective, and turn making calls into a social. This is nice because in our partner portals, we do have everything we need to actually do our business. Now, there is just a 4-minute video by senior group leader Steve Pankhurst, all about making calls. And I am not going to insult your intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? You can click on that and listen to it. Okay, he basically is saying, do you know what? This is a fundamental. And the reason that it's a fundamental is texting, WhatsApping, emailing, Facebook, Messenger, doesn't matter what it is. That is what we call, it's basically the written word, and it's not a two-way street. Ambiguity can be set in when you do texting and all of that, and that can be really that can go against us. Okay, and in the past I've made some incredible faux pas, I don't mind admitting it, when you've sent a message meaning one thing and the person at the other end has actually perceived it as something quite different. And we do not ever want to call offence or to have ambiguity where there is misunderstanding. With speaking to somebody, there is less chance of that. The best thing is face-to-face. Can't beat it. The next best thing, I guess, is something like Zoom, because you're still seeing each other and people can see, hey, look, you're watching what I'm gesticulating. It's a natural thing that we tend to do. We tend to not just speak, we speak with intonation and passion, and our body language very much imparts our feelings. And I think I spoke about this last week. People react and do by feelings, not necessarily logic. Do you remember I said if we were all logical, every one of us would only ever eat all the best things that are good for us? We'd all get up and be down that gym at 6 o'clock in the morning. And oh, I've just got a wonderful cup of tea come through to me. Thank you very much. And we would all do what is right. But that's logic. But actually, logic doesn't play out. What people tend to do is react and do by feeling. So we've got to make people feel good. And so by speech, hopefully with speech, we make people feel good. So Zoom is next. The next one is the phone. It's the best thing. People can hear all of that. Now, if you cannot get hold of someone and you ring them and there's no answer, they could be at work, they could be a manner of things. The next best thing to do is perhaps something like WhatsApp, there's a little mic, you hold it and you can do a voice note. And that's wonderful because they can still hear your speech and your passion. The only downside to that is you can't get an instant reaction. The problems with the one-way street communication is it's one way, and someone could respond within a minute, an hour, a day, a week, a month, never. Okay. Whereas when we are talking, actually, that's really good because ask a question, you get an answer. That's what it's all about. Okay. So calling is good. So please, I absolutely say to you, for you and your teams, remember, for many of you, this is about imparting this to your teams. Ask them to listen to this. Now, if we scroll down, there is further. There's about having what we used to call them coffee and cake calling sessions. Now, you can physically do it, as you're seeing here, all get together. In lockdown, we did the next best thing and we made it virtual. And we set up a Zoom call and we were able to break out into little breakout rooms in smaller teams. And actually, there's something really nice about being amongst people making calls, because I think we all feel picking up the phone is quite, and by the way, if you watch this one too, same as Steve Pankhurst, they both say, Lou Glazier and Steve Pankhurst says, it can be nerve-wracking. I don't know why we perceive it as nerve-wracking, and I'm going to share with you, sometimes I have my moments when I don't want to make a call. The funny thing is, and I'm sure this is the same for you, when you start, as soon as you've got the first one out of the way, do you know what? It's never as bad as you imagine. And that's that old anagram, fear. False evidence appearing real. Our fears are never as bad as they really are. And I don't know why we don't. I mean, I've never had anyone be rude to me, shout me down the phone or anything of the nature. And it's all about being chatty, being nice, being yourself, about not being a salesperson. Okay, now we do use scripts, but actually, you know, it's there as a guide. So this is another way we can do it. And people get some really good results. Actually, I think Lou Glazier says, or it might be her husband Simon, that they meet up for 2 hours. That's quite a long time, actually. And usually in that 2 hours, no matter what, people get appointments. There's one lady, she said, without fail, she has always signed up a customer when it's come from one of these. So that's something that is definitely worthwhile. And if people would like to get that going again, I suggest you do it in your area, or we could go back onto virtual. We could do that because I know it has its benefits. And I think it helps because we hear others doing it. And I think it takes the fear away. All right. So it's a really good thing. So what else is available to us? Right. There is a call coaching masterclass. Let's show you what this is. Let's click on it. I know you can all see this. And because we are at the end of the year, there is just one. It's virtual. It's next Tuesday, the 12th of December. It's a virtual event. It's a telephone skills workshop. They call them Insights, and it's 6 to 9 to 7:30. It's an hour and a half. I think they can take quite a lot of people on these. I believe they can take at least up to 100 people. So if it's something that you think you want, I really would recommend. I've been on one of them. They're absolutely fabulous. You don't have to be frightened. I think it really helps. Okay, so there's something else that's available. Let's go back. What else have we got? Using scripts. Okay, so there is all sorts of stuff here. It says, why use scripts? Do you know, I'm going to play this, folks. I want you to hear why use scripts, not just from me.
When building your UW business, it's vital that you have appointments. In fact, many people say without appointments, you don't have a business. And very often we don't know exactly what to say and how to say it. And that's why scripts become so vital and important for our business. What you're going to hear now is not only what to say, but how to say it. So let's listen to why scripts are so important.
Having a script really helps because I can concentrate on what I'm saying. I don't have to worry about rambling, and I can focus on the person as well. I adapt the script depending on who I'm speaking to. So in particular, if I'm speaking to someone that's got young children, I'll ask about their children, and I'll bring that up in the conversation as well. And I'll adapt my manner as well as to who I'm talking to and the circumstances that they're in.
Scripts are really important because they keep you on track. They stop you from saying the wrong thing too much, too little. And, you know, if you're on the call and you're feeling a bit nervous, it's quite easy for you to get derailed. So the script really ensures that you get the right message, the right information across in the best possible way. It's important to flex when you're using a script, of course, so you don't sound like a robot and you don't sound unnatural, because you want it to be you. You want it to be your personality, your style.
Okay, useful stuff, isn't it? All of this, folks, is on our partner portal, as I've shown you. So you can download the training script. Let's click on it. Let's show you. So this is when people first start. Think of people who you could do you a favour, let you practice. Now, I said this in my promo. When you start off, the reason you want it to be practice is it is actually practice, because we want to take away any feeling that we are putting on our family and friends. We want them to understand they're a bit like a human guinea pig, and that we are having a practice. We've got a coach, a mentor, and it's purely practicing, and the emphasis is on that. And actually that's a really good thing, because what tends to happen if you follow through is invariably the person at the end of when you do a presentation, when they've come on, they often say, well, actually, yeah, I would be interested in knowing how much I could save. And we do sign up wonderful amount of customers through that. And as I say, I've got a new lady that I just brought in, and in November we did 7 appointments and she got 5. She's earned 1,250, and she's actually got the UW first level turkey feast. Absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So there is a way of making these calls, okay? And it says call, text, email. Make sure you contact them in a way that makes sense. Well, calling, we've given the reasons why, okay? And it says build rapport from the start and arrange an appointment at the same time by using your story. So you know how I used to be in sales. Well, what you don't know is that actually it used to stress me out and it made me very, very ill. But I found something that will help solve, that has helped solve this, and I'd love to show it to you. So something that kind of works for you. There are other scripts. Now, here is the beginning script. Okay, and I absolutely, that is the one that I treasure and the one that I most importantly tell my new people to do. The only thing I disagree with is the objections, handling questions, because, you know, if they've got so much as half a brain, it would be weird for a family or friend not to ask you, oh, come on, Lisa, what's that all about? I mean, if they didn't, you'd think to yourself, odd. Well, I think if I said, I'll show you when I see you, I think that's almost a little bit kind of sarcastic. I can't think that I would accept that. Okay, it's like a haircut. You have to be there, you know, yeah, but the one answer that has worked over and over again. Because what this is about is when somebody asks a question, they're curious, and that's good. If they're curious, that means they're interested. Don't ever see it that they're not. Curiosity is important, and we need to satisfy that. So I have found the best way to handle it is to say, well, this is an amazing discount club where every single day you spend money, you can get money back. Would you like money back on your everyday spending? And most people will probably say yes. Now, that is a truth. It's not a lie, it's an absolute truth. And it's enough to usually satisfy the curiosity to say, right, come on, are you free? This is the alternative close. Are you free, say Monday or Tuesday next week? Could that be the afternoon or the evening? And the reason that we do this is we have to help people focus. Most people, if I said, are you free next week? They'd probably go, no, I'm really busy. Oh my God, it's Christmas, Lisa. Have you got any idea how much I've got on? Whereas if I said, are you free Monday afternoon or Monday evening or perhaps Tuesday morning, they would focus and think, oh, I better have a look at the calendar or the diary. And they like the idea, this is the psychology, they like the idea that they're being given an option, because nobody likes to feel cornered. People want choices. And actually what you're doing is giving them a choice. And it invariably imparts a great, like, oh yeah, I can't do Monday, but I could do Tuesday morning. Or if they can't do what you've offered them, and this is weird, but it's true, what tends to happen if you give them a choice and they can't fulfill it, they tend to turn around and say, I can't do Monday or Tuesday, but are you free maybe Wednesday evening or perhaps Thursday? And it always happens. So what we're doing is we are training a new person how to make this call that they are going to get a great result. Guys, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you don't impart to the new people that if they go off on a tangent and they start talking about gas, electric, broadband, telephone, you are not going to get anywhere. They won't. Because the British, by very nature, are negative. They can't help themselves. I know I'm one of them, but, and up until that point, when they're phoning their friends, their prospects, their family, everybody has done the best that they can for themselves. And up until that point, they've probably done what they found the best that they thought was available. But they didn't know about UW. They didn't know that there was £400 to pay off early termination fees. They didn't know that everyday spending could completely eliminate perhaps the cost of their mobile. They didn't know this stuff. They didn't know that there was a company that when you take 3 services, you are going to get the cheapest fixed rate deal available. They know none of that. So what we're doing, and this is what you say to the new folk, you're bringing them to the table completely fresh, without preconceived ideas and objections. And when people bring them to the table fresh, it has a great effect. Now, what about those of us that are further down the line? What about tailoring appointments, right? Now, there's says remote here, but there is actually, hang on. Right, so not just this, let's go back, hang on, and let's further scripts. Aha, okay. So focusing on the warm list, okay. Let's have a look. So after your training phase, when you're no longer new, well, I've just jumped off a training in my business and I thought of you. When can I pinch 30 minutes of your time to run it by you? Now, that's a great thing, because there may be people that are no for now, yes for later. And that's why we keep a no for now list, because you could then say, I've just done a new training. Or, you know, when the company makes changes, oh my gosh, you could say, oh, the company have just made, look at this, I love this. Hi, lovely. We've just had some insanely exciting changes in our business. When can I pinch 30 minutes of your time? What a great way of putting it. Fantastic. There is also here, if you didn't know, scripts to follow up after a 20k giveaway or an equivalent. Ideas of what to say and do there. What to say or do on social media. Yeah. So really important things to follow up on. It's all here. It's all here. There is lots and lots of information. And what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to just stop the screen a minute, because I want to emphasize to everybody, you know what? It's not about each of us being personally brilliant. It's about where to find the information to be able to impart that to new people so we can help them and help ourselves. We're aiming to become independent. That's what it's all about, and where to find the information. So hopefully, if you didn't know where that stuff was, I've now shown you where it is, okay, because it's really, really good stuff. So I'm stopping this a bit early. I'm going to, I think I can unmute you all. How do I unmute? Ask all to unmute. Let's see. Okay, so hopefully you can all, because what I want to do is I have an idea of what I think you need, whereas you may have an idea of what you think you need. Anybody got any questions that they'd like to ask? Or you're all brilliant at this. Anybody? Yes, go on, Lindsay. Well done.
Just a comment about getting a call. I mean, if you've been long in the business, like several of us are, you can say to somebody who's on your warm list, hello, I'm sorry, you might have heard I'm doing a new business. I do apologize for not telling about you. I do apologize for not telling it to you before. So you're apologizing and saying you should have told me before. So now you're taking the burden on yourself, and they'll naturally want to help you out. That's something I use sometimes.
I think that's excellent, Lindsay.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great way to be able to speak to someone or call somebody. I also think it's terribly important to follow up. They say the fortune is in the follow-up, and a lot of people don't. And I'm now going to say to you, I have got appointments sometimes 2 years after meeting somebody because I've bothered to follow up. Now, some of you might ask, so when do you give up? Is that a good question? When do you finally say, I tell you what, I would say when you've spoken to them, you've called, and you know full well they are absolutely ignoring your calls. Okay, I would say there is a point where it could be classed that you are stalking, and we don't wish to be stalkers. Okay, we want to be out there offering what we've got, not hunting people down. Hunters shoot people, don't they? Isn't that right? We don't want to shoot our prospects. Anybody else got a question on calling? Because this is all about calling. So I'm now going to pose a question to you. When do you find it's the best time to call?
That's a good one. I think when you're, presumably if you've had some sort of conversation with them where you've met them, if you've been back on a Win a Mini or something, you would have an idea, you know, what do you do? Are you working? If they're working, it's got to be an evening thing. So I think if you can find out the time of day when they're going to be around to take a call, that is more helpful.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. But I am now going to say to you, all right, I'm going to pose this. I don't think there's ever a bad time to phone someone unless you absolutely know, Ros, that they work during the day. They're in an office. They can't take calls. Hey, listen, that is totally acceptable. But the reality is, we know this, 1 in 3 people are now me's, and they're doing different things, and more people are actually working remotely, aren't they? even those that are working in jobs, like my son-in-law is a manager. He's our competition actually with UW. It's quite sweet, really. But he's 4 days a week working in an office from home, and only 1 day a week goes into the office. So although he's doing work from home, he has more flexibility than he ever did before. And I think sometimes, do you know what, if it's not convenient, they won't answer anyway. Yeah. So actually, you know, I tell you what you could do. You could get into what I call the excuse mode. And I remember being taught this when I started. You could say, oh, well, I can't ring in the morning because they're busy. They're getting ready for work. They're getting the kids together. I can't ring in the middle of the morning because they're probably working. I can't ring at lunchtime because they're having their lunch or they're running around. And I can't ring in the afternoon. And I can't ring at 5 till 7 because that's when they're doing the dinner. Oh, and then if I ring at 8, I'm probably going to get interrupted. I'm going to interrupt their dead enders or something like that. And then before you know it, it's 8 o'clock and it's after sociable hours. So actually, do you know what? Just phone. Just phone. Yeah, really. I think that I've done it, and I call it excuse-itis, and I'm as guilty as anyone. It's usually because I'm putting off when I want to phone. But the best way to start calling is make some calls that make you feel good. So one of the things that I've always done is I do congratulatory calls. And that's wonderful, you know, when somebody like Rod's got 50+ club. Yeah, like how nice is that? Yeah, well done, Rod, brilliant. You know, something like that. Why not make a really nice call that makes you feel good? It's only going to be pleasurable, and you've already started talking. And then move into your prospecting calls. How many calls do you think we should make a day? Open it up to all of you.
Certainly between 5 and 10, if not more.
What about you, Lindsay?
My target is 2 calls. I've connected and I've spoken to people about the business. Not I'm just dashing out the house. No, when we've spoken to people about it, my target is 2 per day.
Okay. All right. I think you want to make as many as you can. However, if you are working full time and this is your sideline, you are a me. Okay. I think you could say to yourself, if I touch my business every day, if I made even only 1 prospecting call, if I did it every day, that's 365 calls that I wouldn't have made. Whereas if you have, it's that same old analogy. You know, if you go to the gym once a month, you don't get the body. You have to do it consistently. And I think if you do, it's that thing called the consistency chain that you get in the habit, and actually you start to feel weird if you don't do it. That's the best feeling, is when it's like, oh my gosh, I missed out. I didn't make any calls. All right. And then, because you see, some people kind of do this in fits and starts. And I see it a lot in my teams over the years. You get some people that go, wow, and they do loads of work, and then all of a sudden they kind of burn themselves out. We don't want burn. We want stuff that's more consistent, that is within your capability and abilities to do. All right. But the more you do it consistently, even if it was only 1 a day, you'll actually feel better because you will improve and you'll feel more confident. So guys, was that stuff helpful? I felt like I rushed a massive subject. I could talk about it for ages, but what I've done is show you where to go and access. Yeah. We will do next week as well, if that's all right, guys. I know we're coming up to Christmas, but yeah, we'll do next week too. So same time, same place, 4:30. Look forward to seeing you all, and thank you very much for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye.
Lisa, bye. Bye.